The Michigan Department of Education would like to welcome you to this instructional video on district-provided professional development reporting process. At the Michigan Department of Education, the Office of Educator Excellence has put together this video with the following objectives. We are going to review the current process for DPPD reporting. We're also going to describe a new reporting process, including options for sketch sponsorship, different options for sketch program applications, as well as options for uploading the participants of these programs. We will detail the benefits and impacts of this new process, provide additional resources, and answer the questions that you may have as we describe the new process. First, we're going to start with talking about what is district-provided professional development. District-provided professional development is a requirement by legislation in the state of Michigan for including 5 days of professional development annually for all teachers, and an additional 5 days of professional development for new teachers within their first 3 years. To qualify as district-provided professional development, the professional learning must be supported by the district in some way. Oftentimes, this is providing a substitute teacher, paying expenses for the registration costs, or simply providing release time for the educator to be able to attend the professional learning. And a critical and important piece of district-provided professional development is that those professional learning hours may be used toward the 150 education-related professional learning hours that are needed for professional recertification. A little bit about the current process. Currently, for district-provided professional development to be used for teacher and administrator recertification, educators are required to enter the DPPD into a log within their MOEX account, and then print this log and bring it to their districts for district approval and verification. Districts verify the DPPD hours listed on the log. They verify that the educator completed those hours and that those hours were appropriate to the certification of the individual educator. The district representative signs that form and returns it to the educator. In this scenario, both the educator and the district have responsibility for maintaining documentation verifying that the DPPD hours were completed. Here's the current process spelled out a little bit more across the steps. So the current process begins with the district planning for the district-provided professional development for the year and arranging all the logistics for the learning. Also, the district is required to keep records of attendance for audit purposes. And then with step number 3 is where the educator comes in. They are required to enter those professional learning programs into their MOEX account. The educator then prints the log of those DPPD hours and completes the educator section of the form. They then take that form to their district and for verification. Step number 8 is where the district comes back in. They review and verify all the district-provided professional development that is on the log, including the attendance and the appropriateness to the teacher or administrator certificate area. The district representative would then initial each page of the log and finally sign the form and make copies and maintain those for any future audit purposes. Then the educator takes the next steps of going back into their MOEX account and taking out any of the hours that were not verified by the district, and then ensuring that those DPPD form and logs have been signed and initialed, and finally submitting a copy of those forms to MDE as part of the certificate application process.
So there are several reasons for change to this process. The main one is that the current process is very burdensome for both educators and districts. Like the educators are having to go into MOEX, entering this in, printing out the forms, taking to the districts, and the districts for each educator needs to go through these paper copies, initialing and signing forms. And then both are having to share responsibilities of keeping records. Another reason for change is the Auditor General did recommend a change to the process after looking um, at the current process and how it allows for um, errors in information. So just trying to streamline the process a little bit. And then also a recent change in the State School Aid Act with the budget back at the end of September in MCL 388-1701 subsection 10, which now allows for up to 38 hours of professional development to count towards instructional time. And with that, a requirement of professional development to count as instructional hours is that it must be approved as a sketch program. So that is one reason for moving to this new process. So a little summary of the new process. Beginning July 1st of 2020, DPPD will now be entered by districts into MOEX as state continuing education credit hours. Now this is for any DPPD that is to be used for recertification purposes by educators. So districts do have multiple options for sketch sponsorship and for submitting sketch program applications, and we'll go through each of those options. This does not eliminate the legislative requirements for DPPD in both MCL 380-1526 and 380-1527, 1526 being PD for new teachers and 1527 PD for all teachers. Those legislative requirements are still there. It's just a different way of reporting for purposes of recertification. So here's the flow chart of the new process. And this flow chart is available on our resource page, which we'll show at the end of the presentation. So first, and this is just a one-time step, but you would need to choose sketch sponsorship and your sketch coordinator, and we'll go over those options in a second. You then plan, as in the original process or the current process, you plan your DPPD for the year. The additional step here would be sending it to the coordinator, and then the coordinator submitting the program in MOEX, and then MDE reviewing and approving the program. The professional learning occurs and keeping those records such as attendance and agendas at that point, and then the coordinator submitting participants to MOEX. And then finally, in order to get the sketches, educators need to complete the survey, and then it's awarded to their MOEX account. So kind of a breakdown of each of these steps. First, the one-time step of sketch sponsorship. So option one for a sketch sponsorship would be the district becoming a sponsor. So in this step, you would need to complete the sketch sponsor application if you're not already a sponsor. In that, you can assign a sketch coordinator. This coordinator is the one who will submit programs directly to MDE and also upload participants to MOEX. There is options to assign assistant coordinators. The assistant coordinators are able to submit programs directly to the sketch coordinator within MOEX. So they'd be able to enter in all the information and submit it, and the coordinator would then just need to approve it for it to go to MDE. And assistant coordinators can also prepare upload templates for participation uploads. They're not able to submit the upload templates just to avoid duplication. The second option would be partnering with the ISD or the RESA. So in this scenario, the ISD or RESA would assume responsibility as the sponsor and work with the district. At this option, multiple coordinators can be used and assigned to different districts. So if you do have, the ISD is responsible for several different districts, you could have more than one coordinator at that level being able to submit. You would just want to split by district. And again, assistant coordinators could also be used at the district level. And then finally, the third option would be a district consortium. So you could have several different districts become a consortium and share the responsibilities. And again, in this scenario, you could have more than one coordinator as long as they have different districts assigned to them. And also able to use the assistant coordinators in this scenario as well. If using the consortium option, you would need to complete a sketch sponsor application and fill that application out as the consortium. So now once you choose your option for sketch sponsorship, we start getting into the new DPPD process steps individually, so kind of breaking these down. So step one, as we mentioned earlier, is planning and sending information to the coordinator. So after kind of planning that DPPD calendar, you would send info to the sketch coordinator, and it can be general. We do understand that plans change based on needs during the school year. This would just be kind of the initial planning in place, and again, can be fairly general information. When planning, please feel free to utilize our guidelines for professional learning, which just kind of helps determine what counts towards both MCL 380-1526 and 380-1527. So once that information is sent to the coordinator, we get to the sketch program application. And now we are trying to be very flexible and offering several options for the application process when considering DPPD. So your first option really is to submit a year-long DPPD program. So when you do this, you would first select the DPPD category, which is now in MOEX. You'd want to give kind of a specific title and a general description. So your title can be, district name DPPD, and then in that general description, you can list everything your DPPD might have during the year. You can talk about PLCs, if you have kind of content that we talked about, student engagement, curriculum work, committees, anything that you think will happen with DPPD, that general description. With your start and end date, you'd want to incorporate all DPPD hours throughout the year. So you'd want to enter in July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021 to span that entire year. You can put in, the date of your first DPPD activity. If that's, in August, you can put that, but we do recommend that July 1 to June 30th, just having the year-long program. The general sketch total number then would change, since this is trying to incorporate all the hours possible. In the general sketch area, you'd want to include all possible DPPD hours. So this will more than likely exceed 30 hours. Considering that new teacher hours can count towards recertification, you may want to exceed 60 hours, because you really want to put in a number that would be the maximum number of hours that an individual educator could accrue as DPPD for a year. So put in that large number in that general sketch category. The total amount that they achieve or that they accrue is going to be entered in the upload template. So this general sketch number is just the total amount one teacher could possibly receive. And then with the sketch program application, you would need to upload a DPPD calendar. This can be as simple as a calendar template that has dates. It could also just be a list with dates given for the dates that are known, and then also making notes, if you are using PLCs at various times, either weekly, bi-weekly, making note of that. If, you want to account for individualized DPPD throughout the year, you can make a note of that on there. No agenda would be necessary to upload into the application. In the past, that's for most for most professional learning activities, an agenda was necessary. For DPPD, that is not. We're just looking for an upload of like a DPPD calendar. So the second option for submitting a sketch program would be the same as the first option. So everything that I just said with option one applies to the second option. The difference is that you would submit multiple year-long programs. So at the district level, if you want to kind of keep better records and the educators have a better idea of what they're all attending, you can submit multiple year-long programs. So whether it's by content type, or delivery method, like we talked about, PLCs, webinars, conferences, or by building. If you want to separate it by, the high school DPPD, the elementary school DPPD, the middle school DPPD, and maybe even a general district DPPD, you could do that as well. And again, all those things on option one would still be the same, the way you'd enter in the program details. This would just be a more specific title and possibly more specific description. And then finally, you can, if you'd like to, just submit individual programs for each offering that you have for DPPD. That is the case right now for sketches. And so you would basically, if you are going to submit individual programs for each offering, you would not have to choose that DPPD category. You can just choose any applicable category, select that specific date now instead of doing a year-long, and this would require an agenda to be uploaded. Now, with options 1 and 2, we did mention that you would not have to upload an agenda. However, we do recommend you keep that agenda for your records for audit purposes, but it would not have to be uploaded in MOEX. For option 3, that agenda would have to be uploaded directly into MOEX. One note on school counselor PD. So if using the year-long DPPD program, in order for school counselors to receive their required amount of hours, because there is a new requirement for school counselors that 50 of their 150 education-related professional learning hours needs to be in these 3 listed categories here. So college preparation and selection needs 25 hours, 25 hours of career exploration as well, and 5 of those 25 hours in career exploration need to be specific to military options. So in order to make sure that school counselors do receive these proper hours, you'd want to create a separate program for DPPD for school counselors, and it can be a year-long program as well. But you'd want to select the school counselor category, and it would enable you to enter maximum total of general sketches in each of those categories. So we do have resources to complete the sketch program application. We have a sketch program application description guidance document, and this will provide screenshots of the application and kind of suggestions that you can use for a year-long DPPD program. You can see the screenshot here on this page. We also do have a short little 10 to 15 minute program application instructional video. So we want to take a closer look here at the program application. So looking at, this is the MOEX page. So when you enter in as a sketch coordinator, it'll have a list of all your sketch program applications here. We'll click new, add new here. And this is going to be the application in MOEX. Again, an assistant coordinator is able to fill this out, and when they hit submit, it is submitted to the sketch coordinator, who then would submit it to MDE. But looking at this and walking through, you first see title, and this again, you can do district name and DPPD. If you're doing multiple programs, you can be more specific with that category, or with that title rather. You then enter your program format. You have 3 options, either virtual, online, face-to-face, or blended hybrid. For a DPPD year-long program, blended hybrid probably would make the most sense, just to allow for either face-to-face or virtual online. And then displaying in the catalog, since this is DPPD, if you want to invite other districts, feel free to display it in the catalog, but more than likely, since this is DPPD and district provided, you're going to select no here to display in the catalog. For the event location, you can just select this little dot right here, same as that of sponsor, and it'll pre-populate for you. And then when you get to all categories, again, there is the district provided professional development category specifically. So you can select that. If you're using school counselor DPD, you'd want to select the school counselor category. Here's where you'd write the course narrative. Again, just a general description. You know, everything you think that you'll handle in DPD. Again, we understand that there needs to be flexibility and that things may be added, you know, based on need at some point. But just kind of listing everything here, you can, you know, list PLCs, webinars, you know, school committee, mentor and induction, even student-teacher supervision. You can list any of these categories into the course narrative here if you think that you're going to be uploading those hours to this program. We then have prerequisites and restrictions. Really, prerequisites is if they would have to complete something prior to this, and for DPPD, probably not going to have a prerequisite. For restrictions, if you're doing multiple DPPD programs, you could do a DPPD program specific to a certain content area, and you could put that restriction in here. If you're doing that year-long DPPD program, however, you're probably going to have very few restrictions outside of, you know, just your district, that it's for your district. Your attendance method then needs to be listed, whether that's sign-in, sign-out sheets, or if you use an online system such as Calpa, PowerSchool, Frontline, any of these, you know, you would want to list that in the attendance method. There is a box for participant fee. This is not required. The state does not have any fees for sketches. This would be up to the district with DPPD. You may or may not want to charge, but this would be where you'd enter any kind of fees. And then the general sketches box is where, again, you would want to enter that maximum number of hours possible for one teacher to accrue during a year for DPPD. And again, considering that 30 hours are required for each teacher, or at least 30 hours are, and then again, it would be looking at the 15 days over 3 years for new teachers, or the 90 hours over, you know, that's about 30 extra hours again, so possibly 60 hours or more to be entered here. There is a place for program descriptors. Just you need to select just one of these. There is an option for two, and you can just pick something general, since the DPPD program is going to incorporate a lot of different categories, obviously. And then that required documentation, as we mentioned before, that's going to be where you enter that DPPD calendar. And finally, with dates and program details, that begin date, you're going to want to enter, you know, July 1, and then end date June 30th. And then on the bottom, there's some more contact details. Again, you can select sponsor contact, and it'll pre-populate that entire field. And you can add a website if you have it. Is not required. And then that is the program application. So getting back to our presentation here. So now we're moving on to steps 3 and 4. So we filled out the program application. Then 3 is the MDE review and approval process. So typically we've had a requirement of sending an application in 30 days prior to the start of an event. If that's continuing, basically that would be for the one program application that you have to do for DPPD. It would only apply at the beginning. So if you're putting in a date of July 1st, you'd want to get that in 30 days prior to July 1st. And it would only be that one time. If something changes and you decide to do new DPPD that you didn't really plan on originally, that's fine. You don't have to send in another program application. You can just upload all those hours in that same program that you did at the beginning of the year. That's the nice thing about these year-long programs. You can just upload every hour related to DPD into one program, so you don't have to send multiple program applications. Currently, though, with this 30-day requirement, it is waived during the school closures. And that's just so districts can kind of get pertinent and pertinent DPD together right now during this time. And then after the review and approval process, districts will be notified that it is approved and allowed for sketches. So the program then, step 4 there, the program is held. Participant attendance is collected using the method listed in the application. And then other documentation kept for district records. So this, again, this would be where you do keep the agendas. So you don't need to upload those to MOEX, but you will want to keep them for your program file for audit purposes. Any other evidence that the professional development took place, so whether that's reflections or any kind of product that was created during the professional development, anything to prove that it took place. So step 5 then is when we upload participants and assign the general sketches accrued for each educator. So there's really 2 options for coordinators here. The one is to upload by template. So if you're using a year-long program, you can upload several participants and different dates on the same template. So you can have multiple dates, multiple participants. You can even have the same participant multiple times as long as the date is different. So that date really stands as that difference between your DPPD events. So that is how one DPPD event will be delineated from another one, that date. The event date that's listed on the template form. And with that, kind of dropping to the bottom here, if using a year-long program, you'll probably want to decide on an upload schedule. So although you could list everybody on one at the end of the year, because the purpose of entering into as sketches in MOEX is for educators to get those sketches for recertification, entering at the end of the year probably won't be as beneficial because once January hits, they're looking to start to renew their certificate. So you want to kind of come up with a schedule that works for your district, whether that's just after each event happens, a week after each event, or if it's monthly, if you do quarterly, by semester, by trimester. We just really do recommend uploading at least 2 times during the year participants, but you want to decide on the upload schedule. And another thing with these templates, assistant coordinators can prepare the templates. So we know one stressor on coordinators is that they are the only ones who can upload to MOEX. However, those templates are where the work kind of really comes in, and an assistant coordinator can prepare those templates. And when those templates are uploaded, if an error shows up, you can take a screenshot, send it back to that assistant coordinator to correct and send back for upload. The other option for uploading participants is individually. In this case, you would enter the pick, and it would pre-populate the name, and then you enter the event date and also how many sketches they accrued. But you'd have to do that individually for each person, where on the template you're able to list multiple people. And again, we do have resources for this process. There is an uploading participants guidance document with screenshots of the process, and we also have an instructional video as well. So moving into taking a closer look, so again, here's our application page. In order to upload participants, you're going to click on Professional Learning Programs. So this will list any program that has started. So once that start date that's listed has passed, it'll show up in Professional Learning Programs. So you notice here, this will list all programs that you have active. And we'll go over to upload and add. The first thing you'll see is that it'll ask you about adding evaluation questions for participants. So, and basically, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but in order for the participants to receive sketches, they have to complete the program evaluation. This program evaluation is automatically generated and sent out in MOEX per upload. So once you upload participants, it doesn't matter how many times they were listed on that template. If it was on one template, they'll receive one evaluation per upload. So if you do want them to, evaluate each specific activity, you want to upload after each activity. But there is an option. So there's a certain number of preset questions, but you are able to add some questions if you want to be a little more specific. And if you do, you'd click yes here. But we're going to click no. So here is what the page looks like, and here's that first option. So where you are going to just upload the template. We have the template right here to download, so just click that button and you'll be able to download the template. And this is what the template looks like. Very simple. It's just first name, last name, pick, and then the event date. And remember that date is what kind of differentiates from one activity to the other. And then the general sketches. The one thing, in case I didn't mention it, is if you have the same person listed multiple times, it does have to be a separate date. It will not allow the same person to be listed with the same date. And then general sketches is the actual sketches that they accrued. So if they attended the entire 6 hours of a certain session, they should get all 6 there for that day. But if they only attended 3, you'd put 3 there, and that will be what gets uploaded to their system. You'll notice to the right of general sketches is the counselor. This template's used also for counselors as well. So if you are doing counselor DPPD and you selected that as a category for your program and you filled in the general sketches for each of those, you can then assign how many sketches accrued in those categories here. So that is the template. So once you have that filled in, you'll just, you have it saved, you just upload it here. It does have to be a CSV file, and I should note that it does have to match that template. So we know that some online attendance systems like Calpa and PowerSchool, they're working on developing a report printout that matches that. We've also mentioned, like, if schools want to keep more information, like a little description of each activity on the side, you can, for your own internal purposes, add that column, but when you go to upload, you cannot have that column there. So if you have it for internal purposes and have it saved and share that with educators so they have a little better idea with a description for each activity, that's fine. But when you go to upload, that column cannot be there. It needs to match exactly the template that is downloadable here. So if you're creating your own, it doesn't need to be just a CSV file. Then that second option right here, uploading attendees individually. So again, if you enter in a pick, it'll automatically put that first name and last name here, and then you just enter the date and sketches earned, which probably won't be 5,000. And going back to the template, on the template, it should be known that when you go to upload this, that if there are any errors, it'll show you immediately. It won't complete the upload unless all errors are cleared out. So an error could be if you have a shortened name that you put in, but in MOEX your name's listed longer, so like Marty instead of Martin. If the name doesn't match the pick, it'll come up as an error. So you have to clear all those errors out before it'll accept the upload. So it'll be important when doing sign in, sign out that you may want to stress to educators to, use the name that's listed in MOEX. So that is uploading educators. So jumping back to our presentation. Sorry, we're having a little difficulty here. All right. So looking back at our presentation and moving on, steps 6 and 7 are fairly easy. As we mentioned, educator has to complete that program evaluation survey. Again, these are automatically generated per upload. So if someone is listed 7 times on the same template, they're only getting 1 program application. Now, if you upload participation 7 different times, they're going to get an evaluation survey each time. It should be noted there's no deadline for educators to complete this evaluation survey. The only somewhat deadline for them would be the next time they renew. So for them to get credit for it, they would have to complete the survey before the next time they renew. Because once they renew, it'll reset, and any sketches that they accrued prior to that renew date would no longer count for them. But there is no deadline. In the past, it's recommended like 30 days after. Now, with a year-long program, there is no deadline. If they wait till 2 years after and they haven't renewed since then, they can still get credit for that. So once that survey is completed, the sketches will automatically show up in their MOEX account, more than likely the next day. And so they'll be rewarded those sketches to use towards recertification.
So at the Michigan Department of Education, we do believe in collaboration with teachers and administrators. And the teachers and administrators in the field help us to develop this process, as well as help us to define some of the key benefits that are available for educators with this new process. Some of the benefits are the process becomes more automated, and a paper process from printing the DPPD log from MOEX and taking it into a district representative is now eliminated. That process is now automated. It also eliminates the district verification of individual educators. No longer will district representatives have to verify the individual hours that educators are bringing in sporadically throughout the year as they get ready for recertification. Now all these hours earned by the educators are pre-approved and automatically uploaded into their MOEX account. Both of these steps expedite the recertification process and simplify the record keeping for audit purposes for educators and for districts, including for educators no longer having a need to maintain the documentation because now it is maintained by the district and within the MOEX system. Anytime there's a process change, it does have an impact on educators. So let's talk about what that impact is. And most importantly, the thing to emphasize here is this process protects any hours earned prior to our July 1st, 2020 date when we transition into having all DPPD reported as sketch. So any hours that were earned prior to this July 1st, 2020 date can still be credited to the educator towards their education-related professional learning for recertification. They will just use the old system of the DPPD log in MOEX. Following the July 1st, 2020 date, the educators will no longer be able to enter any new learning that occurs past that July 1st, 2020 date. Any new learning that occurs following this date will need to be reported as sketch and automatically uploaded into their MOEX accounts. And finally, educators will need to complete the sketch program evaluation after their participation is uploaded. So that's a key process step that all educators will need to complete to finalize the award of the sketch hours into their MOEX accounts. We do have some recommendations for districts here as far as communication goes. First, it's important that districts communicate that there's a new way for district-provided professional development to be recorded and reported. Letting educators know that the district will now be handling this process and it won't be an individual educator activity any further. It's also a good idea to develop an upload schedule and inform your educators of when those uploads will take place so they know when to expect the hours and the program evaluation surveys to be present in their MOEX account. Again, the schedule could be decided to be uploaded monthly or quarterly, but several times throughout the year, and letting your educators know when to expect those uploads. Also, if districts can remind educators to update their contact information in MOEX, this will ensure that that educators receive the program evaluation notifications via email. If for some reason the email in MOEX is not correct, they would not receive those program evaluation notifications. However, they could still find the program evaluation surveys by logging into their MOEX account.
So again, we have several resources for this new reporting process for DPPD. You can access our resource page link. We have that address listed here, just a bit.ly /DPPD Resources. And on that page, you'll find several outlining the guidelines to DPPD reporting process. We do have a guidance document that kind of goes through the steps as we showed today. We have instructional video on the Sketch sponsor application. We have an FAQ that gets updated consistently. We've had a couple of webinars that we've done, and we've taken questions from those to add to our FAQ, so that does get updated. And that's available there. The DPPD process flowchart that we showed earlier, which has links to many of these same documents right on the flowchart. And then a guidance document specifically for educators about this process. We also have the two resources around the program application that we already mentioned with the descriptions and the instructional video, as well as the uploading Sketch participants with that guidance document and the instructional video as well. We also, during the month of May, will be holding Sketch coordinator trainings, and Sketch coordinators will be directly emailed to register for one of the 3 trainings. After those are completed, we will record those and put those recordings on this DPPD new reporting process resource page. So you'll be able to access a recording of the training right here on this resource page. And so if you do have any further questions, please feel free to send your questions to sketch@michigan.gov, so SCECH@michigan.gov, or you can contact me, Marty Snitchen, directly at snitchenm1@michigan.gov. I'm the professional learning consultant at Michigan Department of Education. Or you can contact Claudia Nickel directly at nickelc@michigan.gov. Claudia is our Sketch administrator. We thank you for joining us today for this instructional video, and we hope you enjoyed it.